For decades, Ralph Tresvant was the smooth voice at the heart of New Edition, a frontman whose sound helped define an era. But today, far from packed arenas and flashing lights, his life moves at a different pace inside his Boston home. Quiet routines, rare public appearances, a legacy built without noise. So what does life look like now for the man once called Riz? Before the harmonies filled arenas, Ralph Tresvant was simply a Boston kid with a smooth voice and big dreams. Ralph Edward Tresvant was born on May 16, 1968, in Boston, Massachusetts, to Ralph Hall and Patricia Tresvant. Growing up in the Roxbury neighborhood alongside his siblings Andre and LaTanya, music wasn't just background noise in the house, it was possibility. While other kids were thinking about after-school games, Ralph was already harmonizing. And then came middle school, the turning point. Ralph teamed up with Bobby Brown, Michael Bivins, and Ricky Bell. They weren't chasing fame yet. They were chasing sound. Talent shows became their training ground, and every small stage felt like Madison Square Garden in their minds. That's when Brooke Payne, manager, choreographer, and visionary, saw something special. After auditioning for him, the group officially became New Edition. Maurice Starr signed them to Streetwise Records, hoping to craft a modern version of the Jackson 5. Brooke Payne's nephew, Ronnie DeVoe, completed the lineup, and just like that, childhood dreams started turning into chart numbers. In 1983, Candy Girl hit the shelves. The album entered the Billboard 200 and climbed the R&B charts, while the title track shot straight to #1 on the Hot R&B/Hip-Hop Songs chart. Is This the End followed into the top 10. For a group of teenagers from Boston, that wasn't just success, it was proof. But success came with lessons. A financial dispute pushed New Edition to leave Streetwise Records. They regrouped and signed with MCA Records, a move that changed everything. Their 1984 self-titled album went double platinum. Cool It Now and Mr. Telephone Man dominated R&B radio, with Cool It Now breaking into the top 5 of the Billboard Hot 100. The boys were no longer promising newcomers. They were leaders of a movement. Momentum continued. All for Love, 1985, went platinum. Under the Blue Moon, 1986, went gold. Hits like Count Me Out, A Little Bit of Love, and Earth Angel kept them in the top tier. Then came Heartbreak in 1988, a defining era. With production from Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the album went double platinum and delivered classics like If It Isn't Love and the #1 ballad, Can You Stand the Rain? This was New Edition stepping into adulthood, and Ralph's smooth, emotional lead vocals became the emotional center of it all. Then came a bold move, stepping out alone. In 1990, Ralph released his self-titled debut album. It debuted at #1 on the top R&B/hip-hop albums chart and went platinum. Sensitivity became a cultural anthem, reaching #1 on the R&B chart and crossing into the pop top 5. Stone Cold Gentleman and Do What I Gotta Do followed into the top 10. In 1991, Billboard named him the #1 new male pop artist. For a moment, the quiet kid from Roxbury was standing alone at center stage and thriving. Still, Ralph never turned his back on the brotherhood. New Edition reunited multiple times, most notably with Home Again in 1996. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and went double platinum in the US, with Hit Me Off topping the R&B chart. Even years later, their 2004 release One Love proved the legacy still had strength, and the story is still being written. During 2025 and 2026, New Edition launched the New Edition Way Tour, beginning January 29, 2026, and traveling across more than 30 cities in North America. Night after night, arenas filled with fans who grew up with their music, and a new generation discovering it live. Sometimes sharing the stage with Boyz II Men and Toni Braxton, sometimes surprising audiences with special guest appearances like Michael McCary. The energy proved one thing clearly. This isn't nostalgia, it's endurance. And after all the tours and triumphs, there's one place where his rhythm slows down and life feels grounded again. His Boston home. Set at the end of a cul-de-sac, the property feels intentionally removed from the rush. At roughly 4,600 square feet, it offers space without excess. You don't get the sense this house was built to impress strangers, it was built to be lived in. The two-story entry immediately sets the mood. Tall ceilings, clean lines, and a calm sense of arrival that feels more composed than flashy. From there, the formal living and dining rooms unfold with classic detailing. Elegant trim frames each space, adding warmth and structure, the way harmony supports a lead vocal. These are rooms designed for real moments. Family dinners, long conversations, celebrations that don't need an audience. The kitchen and bar area is where the home truly shows its character. Crafted with African striped mahogany and finished with granite countertops, it feels rich and grounded. This isn't a show kitchen. It's a gathering space, the kind where music stories get told long after midnight. Entertainment and wellness are woven in naturally. A multi-purpose home theater turns quiet nights into personal premieres. A private gym and sauna speak to routine and recovery, essential for someone whose career has demanded both stamina and discipline. And the three-car garage offers convenience without spectacle, reinforcing the idea that comfort matters more than display. Boston represents grounding, history, roots, familiarity. But Tresvant's life has also carried a West Coast rhythm. For many years, he maintained a residence in Woodland Hills, California, close to studios and radio work, including his time hosting Love and R&B. That balance, East Coast calm, West Coast creativity, reflects how he's navigated fame without losing himself. And with a three-car garage tucked quietly out of sight, there's one natural question left hanging. What does Ralph Tresvant choose to drive when he steps away from the stage? Let's move into his cars next. When it comes to cars, Ralph Tresvant doesn't go over the top, but his choices quietly reflect success, taste, and a little bit of nostalgia. First, the Bentley Bentayga. This isn't just transportation, it's presence. The Bentayga blends handcrafted British luxury with modern SUV performance. Smooth acceleration, ultra-quiet cabin, rich leather interior, real wood veneers. It's the kind of vehicle that feels more like a private lounge than a car. For someone who's spent decades in the spotlight, the Bentayga makes sense. It's refined without being loud, powerful without screaming for attention, much like Ralph himself. Then there's the Mercedes-Benz GLE class. Sleek, practical, and balanced, the GLE offers everyday comfort with executive polish. Advanced safety features, a smooth ride, and understated styling make it ideal for family routines and city drives. It's not flashy, it's reliable. And that reliability mirrors the steady arc of his career. But perhaps the most personal automotive chapter comes from two classics featured in his All Mine era visuals, a black Pontiac Firebird and a red Pontiac GTO. These cars carry raw American muscle energy. Long hoods, aggressive stance, unmistakable attitude. They feel less like status symbols and more like statements of identity, a nod to vintage cool, to rhythm and edge. There's something poetic about pairing soulful R&B with Detroit horsepower. So here's the real question. Do these cars reflect quiet confidence, or a man who never forgot where he started? Let's explore how that translates into his income and overall net worth next. When people talk about R&B legends, the conversation often jumps straight to platinum plaques and sold-out tours. But when it comes to Ralph Tresvant, the financial story is steady rather than explosive. Today, his estimated net worth sits around $5 million, a figure built over decades, not overnight. The backbone of that wealth is music royalties. As a core voice of New Edition, he benefits from a catalog that includes multi-platinum albums like Heartbreak and Home Again. In fact, Home Again alone reportedly generated around $2.1 million in revenue for the group in the mid-1990s. Add to that his own double platinum solo debut from 1990, Powered by Sensitivity, and you begin to see how those numbers stack up. Even today, streaming platforms, radio spins, and licensing deals continue to generate passive income from songs that never really left rotation. But royalties are only part of the picture. Touring remains one of his most consistent income streams. Whether reuniting with New Edition or performing as part of collaborative projects like Heads of State, nostalgic R&B tours continue to draw loyal audiences. These shows aren't just concerts. They're memory machines, and fans are willing to pay to relive that era. For artists of his generation, live performance often becomes the most stable financial engine. Then there's his solo catalog. 3 studio albums, Ralph Tresvant, 1990, It's Going Down, 1994, and Riz Wa Fair, 2006, contribute to ongoing sales and digital revenue, with his debut remaining the strongest commercial performer. Behind the scenes, songwriting and production credits add another layer. Contributing to tracks like Rated R and Competition, he holds creative ownership beyond just vocals, and that ownership translates into publishing income. Acting and media work also played a role. Appearances in films like House Party 2 and involvement in Black entertainment television's The New Edition story extended his presence beyond music, creating additional revenue streams while reinforcing his legacy. And beyond earnings and tours, there's another dimension worth exploring. How does Ralph Tresvant choose to give back? Unlike some artists who build large, branded foundations, Ralph's approach to giving back has often been low-key and personal. Much of his philanthropic involvement has been rooted in community events, youth programs, and group efforts alongside New Edition rather than highly publicized solo campaigns. It reflects his personality, steady, grounded, and more focused on impact than attention. Growing up in Roxbury, Boston, Ralph experienced firsthand the challenges facing urban youth. Underfunded schools, limited resources, and the need for positive outlets. Over the years, he has participated in programs and appearances aimed at encouraging young people to stay focused, pursue education, and believe in their talent. Even simple gestures, returning to meaningful neighborhoods, speaking about gratitude, or showing up at local events, carry weight when they come from someone who once stood in those same streets dreaming of something bigger. Education has also been part of that story. Through involvement connected to the Tom Joyner Foundation, Ralph has supported efforts benefiting historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUS. Whether through appearances, promotional engagement, or participation in high-profile events like the Fantastic Voyage, these connections have helped amplify scholarship opportunities and financial support for students seeking higher education. Group Philanthropy has played a role as well. Over the decades, New Edition has taken part in charity basketball games, fundraising concerts, and community-centered celebrations. Events such as New Edition Day in Boston not only honor the group's legacy, but also spotlight their ongoing influence in uplifting the city that raised them. Even nostalgic R&B tours sometimes incorporate charitable components, blending entertainment with community support. And after the tours, the tributes, and the community moments, one question remains. What does life look like for Ralph Tresvant when the cameras are off and the stage is empty? Now 57, Ralph keeps his personal world intentionally low-key. In an industry where oversharing has become normal, he moves differently. He doesn't flood social media with daily updates or family moments. Instead, he protects what matters. In September 2004, he married Amber Serrano in a memorable double wedding ceremony alongside fellow New Edition member Ricky Bell. Their story is almost poetic. Amber had once been a teenage fan, years before they reconnected as adults. Since then, They've built a relationship largely away from public drama. No headline feuds, no tabloid chaos, just steady companionship. Before Amber, Ralph was married to his childhood sweetheart Shelley Jean from 1993 to 1996. That chapter reportedly carried its challenges, but over time, he has chosen not to revisit it publicly. And that says something. Maturity often shows in what someone decides not to discuss. Fatherhood remains central. Ralph has 4 grown children, and while he keeps them out of the spotlight, he has often spoken about the importance of being present. Touring schedules come and go, but family stays constant. Today, his life moves between Boston and the road. He continues to perform for packed arenas, but he returns home quietly afterward. If you enjoyed exploring his story with us, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps this channel growing and these stories alive. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.